let's see, what else can I tell them? Actually, what happened was, I grew up in a very, very poor family. My parents split up, went back together several times, and I left home when I was 15, and never saw my mother again. She was an incredible woman. She could have been a hit in Branson. She wrote songs. She was like an angel. Played the piano, played the guitar, played the fiddle like smoking fiddle. She could stand on the square in Fort Worth, Texas, and win a fiddle contest. So I grew up with that in my living room. Didn't even realize what a treasure it was till it was gone. And my dad was the opposite. He actually killed his brother, shot him with a shotgun. It was crazy. We grew up with his nightmare. And and yet we went to church as kids. I knew about God. I knew that I wanted to know God. I knew it was possible because I hear people talk about it. You can actually know God. But to me, God was like Mr. Ed the Talking Horse. You guys familiar with that old story? And I mean, this has progressed a couple of years after I left home. Obviously, I'm probably a couple of years later, and I'm just finding out all this crazy stuff. I had a lot of bad influences in my life. Uncles and cousins, relatives that were doing, either smoking pot or doing a lot of drinking and major cussing and major, everything, talking about girls all the time. So I was in that. And so when I bailed out of that, I think it was God's start of saving me, of salvation for my life. But at the time, it didn't seem like that. But I wanted God to talk to me. So here I am. I'm actually, I tried to make God mad at me one time. I thought if I could make him angry just before he manifested himself to strike me dead, I'd say, wait, I was just kidding. I just really wanted you to talk to me. I was desperately crying out on the inside of me. I mean, and I believe today there's people in a crazy situation like that. You have no idea what this God thing really is about. You hear people talk about it. They make such a religious thing out of it. But just to get real, God just wants to be real, net, right, direct with you.
He was leading you the whole way.
I think most people can relate exactly to that.
Yeah, that was the cry of my heart. And even what's crazy is we look at the Apostle Paul. Here he is. He was way out there. He was like major, walking with God, knew God. God took him to heaven or something. He said in the third heaven. I don't know who exactly it was, for 3 years. And he comes back. He has this full-blown revelation of Christ. If you know anything about the Apostle Paul, he was like that. And he was killing Christians. God struck him down one day and struck him blind. He comes back a new guy. And here's this guy that raised people from the dead, walked with Christ, knew him. And what did he say? I just want to know him. I'm going, what? If you don't know him, we're in big trouble, God. This is crazy. Right. Yeah, I just want to know him.
Well,
I mean, that's our desire.
Too great, although your mother was wonderful, but you had a lot of bad things going on.
Yeah.
Oh, well, he's in the category now. He'll never make it, unless he gets 5,000 hours of counseling and this and that. God just needs you. He'll take you from whatever was wrong. And that's what's neat for any of you guys listening. It doesn't matter how bad it is. If you give yourself to Christ, he's going to take you. He's going to change you.
When I first left home, I ended up staying with a friend and at a house, and he had a liquor store. I was a high school dropout, all the stuff, and so he had a liquor store, and I got to stay downstairs in the basement with this guy. So I'm hanging around all these people with influence on my life. I'm actually singing in bars and stuff. But here I am still seeing this red bud marijuana, and all of a sudden, something happens that totally changed my life. And it was just incredible. To this day, every time I think about it, it's just totally awesome because God met me there. I'm sitting here getting high, and God, I'd already had all this time of trying to find God, and the Bible says you'll hear a voice behind you saying, this is the way, walk ye in it. And that's exactly what happened to me. I heard God's voice right then. He said, you'll never get any higher without me. It was so clear that I to see who's in, and there was no back seat. I mean, it was not an extended cab pickup,
Right.
And so I'm like, wow. And right away, after I was so turned on for God, I was just crazy. Just went crazy. I went to Bible college at Southwestern down in Waxahachie, Texas for a year. I met somebody there, a girl from Africa. She was a missionary's kid. She told me about these pictures, little black babies in Africa, and it just melted my heart. I sold my carpet cleaning machine, my pickup truck, got a passport, and flew to Kenya.